Welcome everyone to the Magical Frequency. In today's episode, I wanted to break down all three of Vadim Zeland's books, Reality Transurfing, and then his second one is Reality Transurfing in 78 Days. One is Tufti, the Priestess. If you have stumbled down this rabbit hole and you are curious about all of his books, what all of it means, how you can practically apply it, we could talk about this. I am in no way, shape, or form affiliated with Vadim Zeland. Shout out to him. He apparently will blacklist you if he doesn't approve of the message that you're sending out about him or his works, which, you know, I understand that to a certain degree. Here giving my feedback or opinions on all three of the books. I'm in no way, shape, or form attempting to teach what he's putting out. I'm just giving you an interpretation of my summarization of the book and how I feel like I could practically apply it and how I have been practically applying it in my life. And I just like generally explaining these fun things. So if you're into everything, simulation theory, higher consciousness, all the fun stuff where you can openly talk about how you feel about the world and universe, please subscribe to this channel. And continuing on these topics, they really excite me, and the more and more I go down the rabbit hole, I actually do feel like this is a simulation, and I love discussing that theory, applying it to everyday concepts. So if you enjoy this, continue watching. Zeland is a Russian author who is best known for his books coined Reality Transurfing in 78 Days, and Tufti, the Priestess. He definitely has a unique stance on how he views the universe, how he discusses parallel realities, shifting life paths, and the power of conscious awareness to be able to create the life you're looking to expand into. His work definitely blends together elements of quantum physics, esotericism, and of course, trying to get in with that practical self-help, self-development. He actually maintains a pretty low profile, and that's why I made the joke about the blacklist. There is somebody on YouTube that I ended up following as well. Her name is Renee Garcia. At one point, she was a part of teaching Vadim Zeland's work here in the US, but apparently she was blacklisted for reasons unbeknownst to myself, nor do I really want to get too far into that black hole. It was just something that was really interesting to me when you start on this journey down to find out, like, who's Vadim? Who are these people that are talking about him on YouTube? Why did all this drama and controversy happen around it? But needless to say, when you push all of that aside, all of the teachings are extremely interesting, and it is worth going over and observing knowledge that Vadim is imparting onto the world. Let's cover Reality Transurfing, his initial book. That was a fantastic book in my opinion, but it was extremely long, and I have not been able to sit down and read it for extended periods of time. I listen to most of my books on audio. I know I should probably read them, but it just is easier for me to consume the data. And within this book, he likes to talk about several concepts, which I'm going to cover right now. Reality Transurfing is based on the idea that we can shift between different life tracks or realities by mastering our thoughts, energies, and actions. Zeland said that the world is like a film strip and that our life is just one frame, but we consciously jump to a better frame. This concept is fascinating to me. I believe this is exactly how the simulation works to a certain degree. This is just a modality to explain how it works. because when you are imagining things in the simulation, or you are focusing your thoughts, energy, and vibration into something specifically, I do believe that you are radiating energetic frequencies out to the simulation to be able to shift it in the direction that you're wanting to go in, whether that's observing a new reality for yourself with an SP, if that is a quantum shifting to a new career, if that is moving to a new place, just overall the general things that you may want out of this specific reality, why we came to quote unquote surf in these different realities. So it is up to you to pick the film strip that you want to see in the projection of reality in front of you. Some of the key concepts that he talks about in this book are pendulums. The idea of pendulums is something that definitely resonates very strongly with myself. It's the idea of neutrality and balance, that everything in this reality will lead you back to some sort of force to balance you. So you do not want to swing too far left in the world or too far right in the world. You don't want the pendulum to swing too far into either direction, because that is implying too much of something, and the universe will always try to bring it back to balance. And that's definitely a concept that is strong throughout the entire reality transurfing concept, and that is something that can ground somebody to always recognize attempting be able to be at that point of neutrality if you are going too far, maybe into depression, or just maybe too excited to where it's causing anxiety. Always want to try to maintain balance, and that is a great message in my opinion. Also want to remain detached from pendulums, because pendulums can be created through anything. This could be pendulums through thoughts of specific political agendas or specific social media. We create pendulums when the consciousness leans too far into something specifically. A pendulum can be created out of anything. We just want to ensure that we're detaching from the influences of those pendulums. And furthermore on that, there's excess potential. With everything in life, you don't want to have it on a pedestal, the pedestal thinking. Put things that are in a situation that are unachievable for you, that will then replicate. You will see that mirror back in your reality. If you think things are not achievable, if you think things are better than you, if you think not in your range or not in your specific peak, whatever you want to call that, you want to make sure that you're not doing that, because if you create those access potentials, you are giving power to something outside of yourself. You are putting something above yourself. You are maybe idolizing something that shouldn't be idolized. It could be anything in the simmies. He also talks about in this book inner and outer intention, that everybody wants to maintain a level of equilibrium. Outer intention really is flowing with what's going on in your reality, your outer reality. And then inner intention is how you deal with that. How are you dealing with personal conflict and strife on the inside? Those are two different things. But remember, if we go back to the beginning of every video that I want to make sure that I drop this image, it is all from mind. Everything comes from the mind. Everything that we speak on is just consciousness. It is collective consciousness. And it is us attempting to explain things, to compartmentalize things, to create structure and organization and understanding of our world around us. Thought of God, consciousness, the power of I am, all types of religions, any type of esoterica. I will say this in every single one of my videos from now on. It is all leading us back to the same thing. All of the gurus like Neville, the law of attraction, the law of assumption, we are all saying the same thing. And I believe these are all cues that we are sending to the simulation to be able to live out the journey that we came here to live. And with these specific modalities that we learn, we can shift into the reality. We can put on the screen, on the projection screen of life that we are desiring to see. Lastly, let's talk about the slide technique. He says to create a mental slide of your desired reality as if it's already happened. This is very Neville-esque, I will say. You basically, by visualizing it, you are aligning with that future. And I totally agree with this. You are collapsing that potentiality the more that you focus on it. Just like the experiment with the wave and particles being blasted at the wall, and when it was observed, it turned from a wave into a particle. This is the same type of situation. Once you visualize something, you are collapsing it into a reality that you are able to then shift into. You are visualizing the screen of the reality, whatever that movie screen, whatever that slide. You can pick any kind of movie slide for yourself that you want to see in the future. If it's a certain house that you want to live in, if it's a certain event that you would like to participate in, if it is a specific person that you're trying to see or meet or reach, if it is anything that you're really looking to see in your 3D, you can create it somehow. Will it always be exactly perfect how you envisioned it? Sometimes yes, and sometimes you have to allow the simulation to work its magic, in my opinion, because I do believe in if this or something better. So if you allow the simulation to do the work, you will always get what you want or something better. And I do believe when you are using the slide technique, you are able to visualize that quantum movie and then have that play out on the actual 3D movie of life in the actual reality in front of you. Let's jump into transurfing in 78 days. That was a more practical approach on transurfing, just because, again, transurfing, the original book, was really long and it can be sometimes difficult to digest. Surfing in 78 days gave it a little bit more of a practical feel to it, with more activities that you could do on a daily basis. It's basically his principles in 78 steps. You learn to detach from negative energy, release control, and really embrace your outer intention. This book is definitely on the more practical side. I enjoyed reading Transurfing in 78 Days more so than I enjoyed reading the original. Not many people may agree with me on that, but it felt like I could implement or understand more of the concepts in a real world way. I could do more of the visualization techniques. I could execute on some of the different ways that he explained things, being as like the world is just a movie screen. You were the director and we are here on a stage that we can essentially observe over and be able to dictate our future. And it's as simple as sometimes for people visualizing a scene, connecting with it, feeling that intention, emotions, and all the strong things to it, and having that thing happen for them. I do believe there is a time lag in the simulation, because there's often times where I may want something, but then I change my mind very quickly and I don't want that specific thing. And there has been times where that thing did come in and I didn't really kind of want it, and sometimes I need to really think about the things that I'm focusing on, the things that I'm putting intentions on, the things that I'm listening to, the things that I'm consuming, and he makes that very clear in these books too. Move on to Tufti, the priestess. She is a character that vadim came up with, and when I first saw this, I was kind of confused. I didn't know what was going on, because when I started reading it, it was like this woman was yelling at me. I just remember thinking she's yelling at me, calling me a snail. It was extremely entertaining. Not everybody, I think, would love this book unless you're into very strange type of genre. And I did thoroughly enjoy it. I thought it was extremely comical, but she does tell you in a very aggressive way, and I think it is to just get the point across that you have the specific power within you, and when you allow other people to control you, you are giving away your power. So she speaks to you in such that tonality, which does deliver a pack to that punch. One of the interesting concepts that comes up in that book is the plait activation. And this is a really unique technique that Tufti teaches in this book, is where you activate an energetic center in the back of your head, which is called the plait, which I actually have another video where I bring up the concept of the plait and how that's all interconnected. That concept of interwoven, in my opinion, leads back to the concept of a checkered pattern. Ever rub your eyes, what you see is a spinning spiral checkered pattern, and I do believe this is the basically like the 2D of the simulation. And when we observe things and have light come into us, we are able to observe the whatever percentage of the observable universe that we are able to feast our awareness on. And this plate is able to activate your movie screen or your different shift into a reality. And I do believe in this because it is basically exciting your energetic bodies, which essentially sends out those vibratory rhythms and frequencies to the simulation, which then lead you to outcome that you're looking for from the simulation. She also talks about the screen that you can observe or control, and it all leads back to those same kinds of concepts within transurfing. There's a screen of life, and you are the observer over top of it. You can envision yourself as even like a third person outside of your body, and it would be like me sitting here, and then I'm actually going outside my consciousness, observing myself doing this, being in, I don't know, the fourth dimension, or observing myself in 4 and 5D, seeing all the things in the front and in the back, and being able to see that all on the screen of life, and being able to pick, essentially collapse, which possibilities I want to turn into the futures that I want to see on the movie screen. I hope this makes sense. She also talks about inner and outer screen. Same thing, it's all about the mirror principle. As within, so without. There's definitely an outer screen of reality, but there's also your inner screen, how you speak to yourself, how you view the world. What is your perspective? What are you focusing on? What are you observing? And then what thoughts are you casting over that observation? And then what feelings, thoughts, and actions are you then following that up with on a consistent basis, which ends up making it your prime resonant frequency, which ends up either attracting or not attracting the desired parallel reality that you're attempting to shift to. Being able to master your inner and outer is going to be able to give you control over your reality, and what I like to call the simulation. Of course, the word control can be very strong to people, can come off as manipulative, as if we're trying to manipulate, crack some sort of code. But when I say all of this, it's actually just reality creation, co-creation, manifestation, what we came here to do, how we're supposed to live out our futures, how we're supposed to have fun in the simulation. So Tufti is a no-nonsense teacher who basically makes you want to actively participate in your reality creation and not be an innocent bystander or a sheep, as she tries to make you feel if you don't take your reality mastery into your own hands, so to speak, which is a fantastic gig in my opinion. Love it so much. I've read the book a couple of times. It's very fun and interesting to me. Tufti for Halloween. I don't know. She's like a bad bee. I love the way she talks, and it all came from vadim. It's like not even a woman. I guess it would be who he envisioned being her, and the way that they would act and talk and deliver it as a woman in this reality, on this film role, as he likes to call it. It's the simulation and character, and then you're streaming consciousness to that character to shift your reality in the simulation, which is completely cool. And I love the message that all three of his books deliver. They're extremely interesting concepts to me. It definitely brings in the ideas of parallel realities and being able to shift into them. That's the whole surfing. You can surf in between different realities of your choosing. It's up to you to choose. I hope you enjoyed this wrap up or culmination of all three of his books. I created a video like this before, but moved a lot of my old videos into a membership now. So any of those more loosely created videos or off the cuff videos or videos by the pool, all of those less formal videos are now going to be sitting in that membership, just because I want my channel, my best work, not that work isn't my best, but it's best off in there. And if you really want to see it, I figured I would just have a membership where people could see that. There has to be over 10 in there at this point, so feel free to join that. This just shows us how to adjust our thoughts, feelings, emotions, and actions to be able to shift the simulation, and we will shift into whichever reality we are looking to have. The simulation will assist you to put on the screen of life what you're looking for. You just have to visualize it. You have to put focus on it. You have to affirm. I say have to, but there's so many different techniques that each person is doing on their own. And sometimes there's no techniques. Like when you think about a child, they come into the world and cry and they get what they want. They're not visualizing, probably. They may just be having sensations and crying. There are souls that came here to experience things that they may have never experienced before, and they chose to come into this life to experience something different. And the simulation is in a modality to be constantly creating experiences and situations where they're just a mirror of everything that's going on in the collective consciousness, and that will just continue to recycle. Unless everybody starts to resonate on a love frequency, that will continue to recycle the frequency that the general consensus of consciousness is on, in my belief. So that's what the simulation will continue to pump out. I know in my section of reality, I am able to look at it all as if it is a video game, as if it is a game that we were given, a gift of a game that we were given, that we come here to experience. And that is why we're able to put those things on the movie screen and experience them. There's been so many different times where this has happened for me. It's not coincidental anymore. And once you recognize this power within yourself and you start implementing these conscious creations into your life, if you are having trouble in your current life, I do believe practices or just the modality of reframing how you think, act, and feel into one that is aligned with your authentic self, I believe that you can live in whatever simulation that you want. So I hope everybody enjoyed this video, and until the next time, guys, I hope you continue to manifest magic and resonate on your highest frequency. Bye, guys.